the mainstream media generally doesn't touch you unless it is to, stick a selection of cutlery in your back.
You're right, Brian, that's true.
So talk a little bit about the top-down structure, the pyramid structure that seems to permeate all our major institutions. Why is it useful?
Well, you see, there's this idea, people say to me, you can't get over human nature, mate. Well, I think the nature of humans is actually, if left to its, if you like, unmanipulated form, I think the nature of humans is a wondrous thing. And, people we have wars all over the place, but how many people want wars, I mean, generally people just want to get on with their lives. We're looking at manipulated human nature, not human nature in its natural form, I think. So, therefore, if many people knew about what was going on, it wouldn't be going on. So there had to be a structure created whereby vast numbers of people could, with their daily behavior and their daily work, be advancing an agenda they know nothing about. Otherwise, the agenda wouldn't be advanced. So what was created, and this is where you see in all the institutions, indeed of virtually every organization in the world, is the structure of a pyramid, a compartmentalized pyramid, very much like a secret society. At the top of the pyramid in any organization, you've got the people who know what the motivation and agenda of that organization is. It don't matter if it's a transnational company, a bank, or a government. As you come down from that peak, and those few who know how everything fits together, you meet more and more and more people who know less and less about what the organization's agenda is. They're just coming in, they're playing their part, they earn their money, they go home, they want to see their families grow up. They're not trying to run the world. You go quite high up this pyramid before you meet anyone that's kind of knowingly involved here. And then you have this structure like Russian dolls, one doll inside another. It's pyramids inside pyramids. A bank compartmentalized pyramid goes into another pyramid, and eventually you've got the global banking system pyramid. And at the top of that are a few people. A transnational corporation is a compartmentalized pyramid. It goes into the transnational global network, and at the top of that you've got a few people, and they're the same few people at the top of the banking pyramid, and so it goes on. It's very rarefied atmosphere up there. You keep coming across the same names all the time. And a lot of these people, they stay out of the public domain. I mean, if you're at the level of a president or a prime minister, you might be knowingly involved, like George Bush or Bill Clinton or George W. Bush, who's trying to become the president now. But you're still small fry compared with those that are string pulling it. The people really behind this, they're not going to put themselves out in the public arena and say, here I am, identify me, I'm a target. They put people in front to do that. So, for instance, the idea that the President of the United States is the most powerful man in the world, I mean, that's just hilarious. I mean, it's like a comedy show, nothing like he is. And this pyramidal system means that vast numbers of people are advancing an agenda they don't even know exists, because someone down here in a bank doesn't know how what they're doing connects in with what someone in the military is doing here, or someone in a transnational corporation here, or someone in a government here. The only people that know how that fits together, and therefore the direction that the world's being pushed, are the people at the top. And without that, it couldn't happen, because it really is, if too many people knew, the thing would fall apart.
One of the people you mentioned quite a bit is Conrad Black.
Yeah.
One of my least favorite people.
Mm-hmm.
He owns a multitude of newspapers in this country. You had some interesting things to say about the Hollinger Corporation that he's the head of. Could you recount some of those things?
Well, this is interesting, Brian, see, because while people stand around, and they have every right to, denying there's any conspiracy and denying that, this stuff's going on, all they have to do is open their eyes. I mean, the very idea that, I think someone told me recently, 68% of newspapers and growing in Canada are owned by Conrad Black. I mean, the potential for the suppression of information to Canadians, which might wake Canadians up to what's really going on, is absolutely enormous when you do that. Like the television networks in America, people think they're free because there's 3 television networks. Well, what if the same force controls all 3? And the Hollinger group appears to have evolved out of a operation that was created during the last war by the Special Operations Executive of British Intelligence, which put up a front organization called War Supplies Limited, which was run by a guy called Edward Plunkett Taylor. He actually later wrote the banking laws for the Cayman Islands, and a guy called George Montague Black. And after the war, it changed its name to Argus and then became Hollinger. And Conrad Black, who is a major operator within the Illuminati at the level he's at, a major inner circle member of one of their operational groups called the Bilderberg Group, is the son of the guy who helped to set the whole thing up. And again, people have told me of the British intelligence connection, not just to the Canadian media, but to the American media, because in the end, the center of the Illuminati operation, at operational level, there are other centers around the world as well, is the City of London. And people think, because the British Empire has apparently faded, that the control from England is over, but the epicenter, at the center of the secret society network, the web, is the City of London, and they will be pulling the strings of Canada far more than anyone living here.
On top of this level of elite control that encompasses the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, and several other organizations, it's your theory that alien reptilian species that is bred with humans occupies that level above on the pyramid.
Well, all I can do, like anybody else who's researching and reporting what they research, is to report what evidence there is of that. From all over the world, I've met people who have told me about having the experience. These are people not from within the Illuminati web, but outside of it, first of all, who have had this experience of seeing people, particularly in positions of power, but certainly not always, change into a reptilian figure in front of them and then go back to human. When you look at the ancient accounts, like the Nagas, the ancient gods of the Indus Valley, they said about them that they could take either human or reptilian form. Then you look at what people within the Illuminati, who have been within the Illuminati web and come out. Stuart Swerdlow, who's written a number of books, was one of the victims of the mind control operation at Montauk, which again a number of books have been written. A lot of books have been written in recent years, and he talks about the fact that they are a reptilian group that are at the head of the Illuminati, and that they interbred a long time ago. He says around 200,000 years ago the whole thing started moving with humanity, and they created hybrid bloodlines with part mammal and part reptilian DNA, and that certain bloodlines at the top, not many of them, have the ability to switch between their mammal DNA form and their reptilian DNA form, which is their kind of base form, and therefore they have the ability to appear human when out in the world, and yet they are reptilian in truth behind that. When I met Princess Diana's closest confidant, Christine Fitzgerald, in Britain, I went to talk to her about the horrendous treatment of Diana by the Windsors. And as the conversation unfolded, she said to me, do you know what Diana's nickname for the Windsors was? And I said, I don't know. Well, she said it was the lizards and the reptiles. She said, and she used to say in all seriousness, they're not human. And she went on to tell me that because this lady works as a healer with the British aristocracy and lower levels of the royal family, and she said, you know, they're a reptilian bloodline. They're a reptilian hybrid bloodline. And there's a lady called Arizona Wilder, formerly called Jennifer Green, who used to conduct sacrificial rituals for people like the British royal family and top people in America, who I went to see her, not to talk about reptilians, but to talk about the sacrificial rituals. And she told me about the stuff and what the Windsors get up to, and this has come from other sources also. And that was astonishing enough. And then as the conversation unfolded, she said to me, but that's not the most amazing thing that happened. And I'm thinking, crikey, what's coming next, you know? And she said, when the blood starts to flow in the rituals, the British royal family turn into reptiles. They shapeshift into reptiles, and so do, you know, people like George Bush and other people who she names, Al Gore and many other people.